Welcome back to Soren Real Estate Podcast, where we speak with real estate professionals from across the United States. So I'm your host, as you know, Saeed, and today I'm joined by Alyssa Gorman, a South
Hello.
Florida. Hello, a South Florida real estate professional. And I think Alyssa, you're with Vanto Realty. Am I pronouncing it
I
correctly?
am. That is
Awesome, I love
correct.
that. So welcome to the show, Lisa. So glad to have you.
Thank you. Nice to be
Awesome.
here.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Now let's talk about your journey, Elisa. I know that you have a pretty interesting journey, but I want listeners to hear that. So, how did you originally get into real estate and what made you feel that this was the right career for you?
That's an easy question to answer. My mom was a realtor uh,
Oh,
for
so it
about
runs in
50
family.
years. Yeah, my dad had a broker's license. My mom had a broker's license. My father helped out. And so it's more of a family thing. When I decided to go back to work, it was just an easy decision to go into real estate.
I get
So.
it. I get it, Alyssa. It's 100%. That's a really good. So, I think you have all that a great feature that any kind of real estate needs to do that. But, you started this, but what surprised you most during the first year? Because I know, probably you had lots of mentors like your parents, but what exactly was the most surprising thing for you?
Yeah, I have to say, I know they tell you that you're not going to really make any money the first 6 months, and it's very
Mhm,
difficult. But until you're really in it and dealing with all the different personalities,
mhm,
you really don't understand that struggle and how difficult it is to get through that first 6 months, that first year, even. Like, I wasn't working with my family when I first got into real estate. They
mhm.
wanted me to forge my own path and learn the business, and then I was allowed to come into the family business. Yeah, so
Yeah. So I think that was a pretty unique experience because a lot of agents will be like, hey, like how we don't know what it was really difficult, but you had two awesome mentors that helped you throughout the journey.
yeah, knowing how to hustle and knowing who to connect with is and your time management skills, like learning all of that, it's a lot. You kind of
Mm.
have to have that in you, within you. I know we see a lot online and we think it's so glorified because there's a lot of real estate influencers and we make it look really easy.
Oh, you're back.
I'm back. I
Yeah.
froze in it.
No worries.
Sorry.
All good, all good, all good. Cool. So I know that you have actually some financial service background as well. Does this financial service background make the transition of coming to real estate easier? How was it?
For me, I feel it does. It's a great question, and thank you for asking that. Because when I first started in this industry, and I
Mhm.
was meeting with clients, and we were going over, what their needs were, I
Exactly.
was able to do more of a full picture. Now, I don't go and do a portfolio review for them, but I can discuss certain aspects of a transaction that they might not even have thought of. Um,
Mhm.
or tax advice, of course, but
Mhm.
I can then say, this is important for you to go talk to an attorney about, go talk to an accountant about. Maybe it might be for you to stay here 181 days and have your residency in Florida and make the other state that you're coming from your secondary state. And just little nuances and conversations that I have with them to try and save them and try and help them figure things out. So definitely it has
Mhm.
helped me a lot.
Awesome.
And also I have a lot of clients that have trusts and their estate planning. And because I have that background in working with a lot of high net worth clientele, I also bring the understanding of how it works to the table as well. So,
Awesome. I love that. You mentioned building client trust, and because I know real estate can be stressful for both buyers and sellers. What do you do
yes.
early, beside that financial background that you have? What do you do early in the relationship to earn the client's trust and make them feel confident working with you?
That is probably the most difficult thing, right? So you're going in
Exactly.
on your initial, let's say, a listing appointment.
Mhm.
I am primarily a listing agent. And you go on a listing appointment, you know that other realtors are going to be going in either before you or after you. And how are you going to set yourself apart? My approach, and it works for me, is I'm very direct and honest and upfront about the market conditions. I
Mhm.
don't walk in acting like I'm going to sell the place for any price. because the fact of the matter is that's just not true. And
Exactly.
I go in there explaining the worst case scenarios right now. I really do. And if they don't want to list with me, I'd rather not take on a listing that's going to cost me money if they're not going to go with an expert view. And so I feel like just when you sit there and you have conversations about what's really going on, you can build trust, especially if they're going to be talking to other agents and getting information from them, and then they're going to assess it by comparing and contrasting the information they got.
I love it. What you said, I think, is very right. So, like, being honest and straight with the people that are around it, it's like, it's like telling them, hey, like whatever you are telling me, this is a situation right now, this is what you gotta do. You may like it or not, but
Exactly.
this is the reality. I think agents needs to kind of I think people would kind of need to understand an agent needs to follow that as well. Because if you overpromise something, God that hell will help you because
Yes, and we have that a lot. We have it a
yeah,
lot. So
yes, exactly.
people are desperate for listings. I'm getting a listing right now, for instance. It was on the market a year and a half. No
Mhm,
offers, never sold. I walked into the property and I couldn't believe it had been listed in that condition, even.
mhm.
Who's going to buy
Yeah,
a property listed like that? It would have to be listed as a handyman special or something. So, I go in and I give my advice on little things that don't cost much that can change your perception of what the place
exactly,
really looks like. It
exactly,
doesn't have
exactly,
to be a full paint job. It could be changing the plates on the, outlets. It could be
exactly.
simple.
Yes, yeah, you said it very well. I love that. Yes, yes, awesome. Now let's talk about your market. So, for someone who is not, closely follow your market, how would you describe what is really happening in your areas? And let the listener know where are you exactly.
Yeah, so my market has been mostly in Palm Beach County, mostly Boynton Beach, Delray area, some Boca and Highland Beach. And I would have to say about 90% of that business is 55 and over. And
Mhm,
of that 95%, I would say 88 is within one community.
mhm.
That gives me a very good idea of the pulse of the market that I'm working in, and it does make me an expert in the market
For sure you are.
because I know what's going on, and I
Exactly.
feel like the condos are starting to balance out a little bit.
Mhm,
Single family homes are they're selling and they're not
mhm,
coming in under too much.
mhm,
But I feel a message got out there to the buyers that it's a buyer's market all across the board. So they are trying, and it's keeping them on the market a few days longer. It is really important right now, and I can't convey this enough, that if you're going to put your property on the market, a market that has so much inventory, one, you need to do something to the inside to set it apart, to make it look a little nicer. You can't just throw a listing up, clean it up a little bit, at least straighten it up, try and stage it a little bit. But I even say come in a little under asking on a condo. Um, you have to set yourself apart one way or the other. I do a lot of hard marketing as well for
mhm,
certain properties, a
mhm,
lot that I invest in the marketing myself because I'm going to get it back when I sell the property.
mhm.
So,
Interesting, interesting point. So you're telling me that our buyers currently gaining more negotiating power over the whole market?
yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
buyers are so much more educated than they've ever been. It's kind of shocking. I have
Yeah.
had three of my buyers this year find their own properties. They didn't need me.
Wow. Really?
Three, not just one in the
How?
55 and over.
Using
And
AI?
all of those properties, they just spend their time. They're retired. They have looked. I honestly, I have not asked them where they got
Mhm,
their interest in real estate from, but I don't know if I could have done a better job for them. I mean, we went out, we looked at communities, they narrowed it down, and they hyper focused on certain communities.
mhm.
And those three properties, I actually had to go in and there were other offers that there were multiple offers on all three of those properties. So,
Wow.
it's just been a very interesting season in this market.
It is. It is. It is.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Now let's talk about working with relocating buyers. I know your market, continues, generally South Florida continues to attract people relocating from other states. What
Mhm.
should an out of, I would say, state buyer understand before choosing a home or community in Palm Beach County?
So I have had quite a few out of town buyers this year, and we
Mhm.
actually have more people coming in off season than I've
Mhm.
ever seen before. So my summer listings, which I try not to carry too much inventory in the summer, um, we're having people fly in from New Jersey, Canada, New York, a lot of
Wow.
still Northeast, but Canada, I had a Canadian buyer. And I feel like they do need a little bit of an education. Our system here is different for real estate. So I have
Mhm.
to go over, the beginning to end sales process, which is my pleasure. It's my job.
Mhm.
But also to sort of like educate them if they're going to buy a condo, what's happened in our condo market, what homestead means. So, I go over all of that in case they want to decide to make this their permanent residence and how that could affect them more beneficially for back home and just sort of go over all of our lifestyle, changes that they're going to have here. They're not really
Mhm.
here hurricane season if there's snowbirds and just different things. I have been in Florida since 1970. Hello,
Oh,
can
yeah.
you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
very.
sorry,
No
it's
worries.
switching. Sorry.
No worries. It's okay. You were
Yeah,
saying,
so I
yeah,
have a lot
go.
of vendors. I have a lot of vendors that
Mhm.
are at my disposal, whether I have an inspector, a title company, a moving company, a junk removal, a cleaning service, and then you go into electrical and plumbing and anything, roofing, anything any of my clients need. I am there
Awesome.
to get that transaction closed. And I am there to take over anything they need me to take over.
Exactly. I love that. So you mentioned communities and that lifestyle. A lot of people are coming there. A number of your recent transaction have been in Boynton Beach, if I'm not wrong, and established residential communities. But clients are comparing, different communities. What factors should they evaluate before the home itself? Can you a little bit explain more about that part?
I, I'm sorry, I had a little trouble understanding the question if you don't mind repeating it.
Yeah, for sure. Let me tell you in
Okay, I
this way.
turned it
Look,
up. I turned it up.
no worries. What clients are comparing in different communities right now in your market? What
Okay.
factors should they evaluate before the home itself? Like, because people are coming to your
Great
location.
question.
Yeah.
Great question. Yeah. So a lot of these 55 and over communities have a lot of resort style amenities. That's the
Hmm.
lure. I'm in an area, Delray, Boynton, where the bulk or most of the 55 and over communities are being built or exist. So it is a huge community of 55 and over gated HOA communities that have a
Hmm.
bunch of different amenities. Now, a lot of these communities have rebuilt their amenities to make them brand new, and that's a competition. So all three are done that are sister communities, and then you have GL Homes, they're all going through their process as well, constantly maintaining, updating that no membership resort lifestyle because there's no golf course, right? There's tennis and pickleball. They want to know if there's a cafe, a dining
Yeah.
room. They want to know, like, is there someone who's going to have like all the activities for them? Are they going to be able to meet people? Are there clubs? And so
Yeah.
we do have to go through the entire community on foot and look. And if they're not here, then I do it for them either FaceTime or I video.
Yeah, I think that's a very lovely experience. Like, that's a part of that I hear from a lot of agents as well. And,
Yeah.
I think your community is lovely. People would love to
Thank
kind of
you.
see what is going on with that. Awesome. Now, you mentioned about sellers and all of that. So for home buyers in South Florida who are thinking about selling, what should they do before putting their property on the market? Give them an advice.
One thing that we started doing because the properties are a little older now, they're not new sales, is suggesting a pre-inspection.
Oh, yeah.
Know
Mhm.
what's wrong first for a few $100.
Exactly.
Get ahead of it. Like, know
Exactly.
if your roof isn't going to inspect, know if you have mold hiding somewhere. I have been surprised too this year
Wow.
with my purchases for my buyers. I had four homes that had mold. And that is a pretty high number for, it was like every property that we were going through. It was 4 out of 8. It's a fixable thing. It's not a scary thing. It's fixable. It's just something that you should know and get ahead of so that you can control the narrative. If you have an
Exactly.
electrical box that wires are double tapped or something you didn't even know about, then yeah, you just got to get ahead of it because what people really care about when they're buying your home too, by the way, is can it be insured? How much is that going to cost me? And what am I getting
Ex-
into? So, have your AC serviced. Clean out the coils.
Exactly.
Um,
And it's crazy. Like, at least I see people talk about this and stuff. But the point is, maybe that, let's say the maximum, like 5,000, $10,000 repair, that is going to cost you like double, $20,000 in the price of the, oh, that is going to
well,
affect
it
you.
is. It is
Like,
because they're going to come in lower
yeah,
and you're going to have to give a credit. So you're
exactly.
100% correct. It's worth, you had to do it anyway. So if you're selling your place because you can no longer afford to maintain it, then you're going to have to expect to take a little bit of a discount in this market. If you don't want to put the money towards those repairs, fix it up front, then get ahead of it another way. Put it on the listing.
Sure.
Let everyone know before they walk in that this is a motivated seller and then this is as is and this is the way it's going to look when they walk in the door and let people know what's going on.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's
I love it. I love how you mentioned it. I think it is 100% true. I hear it from a lot of agents, and believe me, I talk with a lot of agents daily. Awesome. So one thing that I really love about actually what you're doing is that you have built a strong record of client relationship and positive review. As you look at this next stage of your business, what type of growth are you, working toward? Like,
yeah,
I
great.
just want to
Yeah,
know.
great question.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
for it.
Well, I kind of got into the 55 and over market by default. That was not, the original plan in my mind. My mother was working the 55 and over market, and when they finally agreed to let me join in on the team where she was working at the time, that's what I started. And I had envisioned that I would get my experience and move on. And then I saw that this was really a great place to be, and I wanted to work 55 and over. The next step is the SRES certification. It's a 12-hour course, and really
Mhm.
marketing myself as an expert senior relocation specialist because that is what I do. I do
Mhm.
relocate people all the time. And so, that's where I'm headed in my career.
Mhm. Awesome. I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
Cool. So one more thing that I wanted to also ask from you probably is the last part. Do you got any advice for the people that are listening to you right now? But first of all, I gotta tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in South Florida in Palm Beach country, I think Alyssa Gorman is your number one agent that you gotta do. She explained everything very well. I don't know if you had any doubt. I think you should be 100% confident in what you're doing. But if you get anything you want to mention as your last comment, let us know.
Yeah, I know a lot of people want to get into real estate. Like, welcome. I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, Florida has so many realtors and I'm never gonna make it. And that's not necessarily true. I feel like if something that you really want to pursue, study hard, get your license, connect with a mentor, as you mentioned. That's what I did. I had a real
Mhm.
estate coach in the beginning. Get a real estate coach.
Coach, yes.
And every single day get up and try. It's every day. You work every day, and that's fine. It's a wonderful business. It allows you a lot of independence.
Excellent.
So,
You said it very well. Get that coach part is the part that I really
yeah,
love because
yeah.
you you gotta start this right. So, Alisa, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your experience with us. We discussed like the South Market, Florida, relocating to Palm Beach County and all of that. But before we finished, I think I gotta mention this again that if you are in South Florida looking for an agent, I think Alisa is your number should be your number one target, and you need to
Thank
contact.
you.
You need to
Thank
contact you.
you.
What is your how they can contact you? Let us know. I will have it on the description as well.
Sure. So my phone number It's the best way. Call or text is 561-402-2219. And my email is thedreamteamrealtyco@gmail.com. And that last part is just CO like company. So thank you for letting me put that in there. I appreciate
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much. Perfect. We will include that information in the episode as well. Thank you
Thank
again for
you.
joining the podcast. I really enjoyed that conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.